If you can have an irrational fear,
Yeah.
why can't you? Okay, that's bigotry. That's racism.
But I'm not going to call that
Stop
racism.
kicking him. He's already dead.
But you just called it. All right, so your argument is that race doesn't exist because I can't define it? Is that what it is?
My argument is racism isn't real.
So can we start by defining what race is?
Race, no, we can, I mean, how are we going to define it?
So although
race
it's malleable,
is it skin color?
No, race, it would include part of skin color. It would be genetic and phenotypical differences between different subsects of people. Now, it's true that it's going to be more fluid than something like biological characteristics like male versus female. Yet, nonetheless, we're able to categorize things. Just because there's oftentimes threshold differences doesn't mean that those categories don't exist. For example,
you're going to be able to categorize race outside of nationality, ethnicity, culture.
Let's assume I can't. Let's assume all those things are included. Nonetheless, I could tell you a black man versus a white man and be right with my subjective interpretation 99.9% of the time, and people would agree with me with that interpretation. If someone robs me and I say it was a black man, you have an understanding of what that is.
Yeah, and a white man could rob you.
Who said otherwise? We're just making the point that we can understand that there's acknowledgement of different races. You acknowledge that.
I acknowledge there's different skin colors.
Okay, but it's more than just skin color. But even if we accept it's just skin color, so what? Then race exists. Once we acknowledge
I acknowledge that the amount of melanin in your skin based off the climate and the sunlight that you get will affect your skin color.
Okay,
but I don't acknowledge that anybody hates somebody for the amount of melanin in their skin.
That's not true. They hate them because of their appearance, right? And they hate them because of their perceived race and the differences therein. So yes, there are absolutely people, even if we accept that race is just skin color, even if we accept that, I think there's more to it than that, but for the sake of this argument, sure. Yes, there are people that hate black people just because they're black. That's absolutely true. There's people that hate white people just because they're white.
If I hate people because they have big noses, why don't we call that nosism?
We would say that's bigotry based on a phenotypical characteristic of their nose size. Racism is merely bigotry based on race. That's it. It's a special category of yes, just like sexism is bigotry based on
why do you think
sex.
Why do you think that they don't like that race?
There could be all kinds of reasons. It could be totally irrational.
Is it because of their skin color or is it because of their action?
It doesn't matter. Like, you could say that there's all sorts of people.
It does matter.
Okay, so would you say that there's no classism? There's no people that dislike each other because of class? Because we would say, well, it's only because of
if you're a Marxist.
Okay, do you think Marxists hate?
That's what all these isms, ism is a belief.
Right.
Racism is a belief that there is some sort of power inherently in the skin. Racism, I hate somebody because of their skin color because necessarily their skin color means they are this. That's wrong. It might be wrong. It might be wrong, but what you're doing is saying the reason for your hatred of someone based on race is erroneous. That these are based on stereotypes that might not necessarily be true. Nonetheless, the racism exists. It obviously does. For example, if someone kills someone and says, I killed her because she was white, was that racist? If I killed her because she was white.
Correct.
They could say something like that, and that sounds really racist. But
I would say that is racist. I want to kill someone based on their skin color. That's racist.
Okay, but what conditioned them to think that way? What conditioned them to... It does matter.
It doesn't matter
in the isms. This is Marxism.
Irrelevant. That's irrelevant because what you're talking is the reason that a person may be racist. But it's still that they're racist. If you're intentionally hunting and killing people because you hate their skin color, that's racism. You could say, yes, but they were conditioned to do so by a complicit academic circle and mainstream media.
Wait. Actually, if you're a black person and you killed somebody because they're white, that's not racist.
Why not?
According to the modern definition and where we're getting these words and these ideas like racism from, you can't be racist if you're black in a white country because you're marginalized.
I refuse to accept the attempted woke definitions of the changes of racism. I'm defining
language. You're using bigotry.
I'm not.
woke language.
That's not woke language.
Yes, it is. That is woke language.
That is not woke language.
The woke said
that's
the
like woke people say violence. Woke people say violence. So if you ever talk about violence, you're using woke language. Woke people talk about power. Words, so if you ever use the term power, you're doing woke language. If you say, for example, there's powerful people in this country that make sure that the voice of the people isn't heard, that's woke language. You can't talk about that because woke people talk about power discrepancies.
Power and violence are normal words that both sides use. So is racism, bigotry.
So is racism and bigotry. Those are words that exist outside the concept of woke.
These are woke words that they've used to control us.
In fact, you falsely assume that because current people have tried to change the definition of a word that existed pre-woke, such as racism, and the woke have tried to change that definition to say that it equals power plus bigotry, and therefore black people can't be racist, is nonsensical. That's you allowing the woke to change the definition of the word. I refuse to do that. I accept that racism is what it's always been. Even bigotry based on race. Yes, black people can be racist. That's not
even that original. Even that original definition of the word, I don't like that either, because your bigotry is not based off of race. Your bigotry is based off of conditionings that you've had throughout your whole life, through society, your friends, your family. Everybody's telling you. For example, let me give you an example. Daryl Davis. He infiltrated the KKK. He was a black guy. He infiltrated the KKK, and he went to KKK meetings, and they started talking to him, and they're like, we'd never met a black man. They had this idea in their head.
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. They hated that.
It's irrelevant. If someone specifically targets Christian children to kill because they hate Christians and want to harm them, are they bigoted against Christians?
No, they're hateful.
So they're hateful towards Christians.
They're angry and hateful and dumb.
Define bigotry. Does any bigotry exist?
Some made-up word that the left used to control other people who didn't like certain things.
Bigotry is an irrational hatred of a group based on immutable characteristics, or based on characteristics.
That's what I said.
Okay, well, it's not a made-up word; it's a real word, right? And
it's a word they made up to control people and say you're a bigot because.
Okay, when was the word bigotry?
You know how many times I've been called a bigot?
When did the woke create the word bigotry? What year?
I don't know.
How long have woke existed as a concept as you're talking?
Since the French Revolution, since like the 50s, 60s, 40s, in there.
French Revolution? 50s?
40s, 50s, 60s. Well, no, that's when it started coming over to America. I'm not good with dates, okay?
Okay, so prior to the French Revolution, if I could
Marxism, feminism, when that started rising up is when we started getting these words.
Okay, so prior to Marxism and feminism, if I could point to the word bigotry being in dictionaries, you'll admit that you're wrong.
No, I'm sure the word was used before.
Then what did the word mean prior to being woke?
What
did it mean prior to that?
What is the definition of bigotry?
Now, I told you what my definition is. If I type it in, an official definition, so if we take Cambridge, is the fact of having...
So if I say somebody's dumb, am I a bigot?
No. If you say all black people are dumb, then that probably makes you a bigot. But saying that someone's dumb does not make you a bigot. If you assume they're dumb because of...
Well, no, I'm being ableist. I'm being ableist.
What are you talking about? Ableist has nothing to do with bigotry.
I'm a bigot. I'm a bigot towards dumb people.
That's not being bigotry towards dumb people. In fact, just characterizing something or saying...
Bigotry is when you take a characteristic and you're hateful because of that.
Okay,
that
so just
there's
to be...
ageism, there's ableism.
Right, I understand.
Sexism.
For someone who criticizes wokeism, you seem to embrace it quite a bit. No, saying someone's dumb is not bigotry against unabled people. No more than saying someone's...
Why not?
No more than saying someone's tall is bigotry against small people.
It is.
So according to you, saying someone's tall is bigotry against short people.
Based off of, what was your definition of bigotry?
A hatred?
Based off your
the fact of expressing strong, unreasonable beliefs and disliking other people who have different beliefs or a different way of life. Now, how does identifying someone as tall...
So calling somebody dumb is bigoted towards dumb people, and calling somebody you're too tall is bigoted towards...
It's not. This is completely nonsensical. Identifying whether or not you think someone fits into a category is different than having an irrational hatred of someone based on categories they fit into.
heightism doesn't exist.
That's not. I didn't say that heightism
doesn't
yes,
exist.
you could be bigoted.
Ableism
Yes,
doesn't
you could be
exist.
bigoted against
Sexism
people.
doesn't
Yes,
exist.
you could be bigoted
but
against
racism it exists.
No, I'm exactly telling you. Yes, you could have an irrational hatred of tall people. You could say, I hate tall people so much I'm going to murder a tall person. Yes, that would be bigotry against tall people. Yes, you could say, I hate old people so much I'm going to kill an old person. Yes, that would be big. Just calling someone tall or old doesn't mean that you're a bigot against any sort of group.
Yeah, and I would say
this is one of the most reductive arguments I've ever heard. Like, you're just being willfully, you're being a complete woke lefty yourself, much like arguing with lefties, much like arguing with lefties here. So much of arguing with lefties is them pretending to not understand things that we all understand. That's what you're doing right here. Thus making
I'm not pretending to understand it. No, I'm calling.
Can you hate someone? Can you hate someone for their skin color? Yes or no?
I'm calling it what it is. You're calling things be not what they were.
That's not true.
You're calling hatred towards people because of the way that you were raised and the way you lived in your life racism. It's not racism. It's not bigotry.
The rationale for your racism doesn't mean that it's not racist. The mere fact of hating someone for their skin color would be racist. Hating someone for their height would be heightism. Hating someone for their age would be ageism. You may have reasons for that, but that doesn't change the fact that those things exist.
I'm saying you don't hate them because they're tall. You don't hate them because they're dumb.
Yes, you do.
You don't hate them because they're black. You hate them because you've been conditioned to hate dumb people and black people and tall people.
I disagree. I think you're wrong. I think you hate them because biologically there are synapses that are firing in your brain.
So you were born that way. You were born with that hate.
Those synapses could come about through.
So it's a social conditioning.
The synapses could come about through a combination of sort of actions that have occurred socially and biological reasons. Nonetheless, what you're doing is becoming reductive. I say at the end, hatred of.
I am being reductive. I'm reducing it to the truth.
That's not the truth. That's not the truth.
You're extrapolating it into a bunch of words and a bunch of gobbledygook that
it's not words or gobbledygook.
What it not is.
It's not words or gobbledygook. What you're doing is
not
saying
racism.
Here's hating someone because they're black. You're like, but technically, while you think you hate them because you're black, you actually hate them because they're black because of things that have happened before that. But I could say, well, I could take it. Actually, the reason you hate them is because your parents have had sex, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's no such thing as hatred, right? Because everything's just because your parents had sex and your parents had sex.
Yeah, you could say that.
Right, you could say that if you're a fucking idiot like you. By the way, your channel's not
an idiot.
Your channel's not even called JS Urban Adventures, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is? My buddy Avarice told me to bring that up or something of that nature.
No, he says I don't have enough urban adventures.
Oh, there it is. Well, there you go. Well, hey, maybe you define urban adventure in the same way that you're trying to change the definition.
I'm not an idiot. Listen, you're using words to control people. Words like racism.
I'm not using it to control.
Sexism and homophobia and Islamophobia.
Complete opposite. The real lefty here is you.
Is homophobia real?
Yes. There is a hatred of people based on their sexual orientation.
That's not what homophobia is.
Oh, homophobia would be fear. Yes, you could have an irrational fear of homosexuals. Of course you could. Is it misused quite often to justify a bunch of shitty things? Of course, right? But the point that I'm trying to make here
is racism is a concept.
The person that's being woke here is you, right? Because you've literally said that words that we could use as descriptive definitions themselves would be woke and would be bigotry. Such as if I say someone is tall, that is bigotry or hatred towards short people.
No, that was using your definition of bigotry.
Did you not say?
I don't use the word bigotry.
Okay, take the word bigotry out. If I say someone's tall, you said that's.
I've never called anybody a bigot in my whole life.
Why do you listen to my point before? If I say someone's tall, didn't you say that's hatred towards short people?
You said from your definition of bigotry.
No. We're not talking about my definition of bigotry. You refuse to use the word bigotry. You don't think it exists. But when I asked you specifically, when I said no, that's not the point. That's not the point. Now you're changing your standard. You said previously, if you identify someone as tall, that's hatred towards short people.
No. If you insultingly be like, "Oh, you're a fucking tall guy. I don't like tall guys."
Yes, an irrational hatred of someone based purely on their height would be bigotry. Based on height.
And I would say that's not bigotry. That's just a dumb, angry person who's saying hateful things.
So what's your problem with the word bigotry?
It's used by the left to control speech.
Okay, I think that words like dumb, angry, and hatred are used by the left to control speech.
Okay.
So why don't you stop using them? Yeah, of course they do. All the time we hear about angry old white men with hatred in their hearts. They use these pejoratives to slur white men. So why don't you take the words angry and hatred out of your vernacular as well? Now, how will you define those?
I'll make grumbling sounds.
Right. You see what happens? So what you've done is allowed the left to control language by ceding the words to them, which is infinitely worse. Just like you did with the word racism. You say, racism, which actually has a stable meaning, will now no longer accept it because the woke wanted to change the definition of the term. So
I would have never used that word.
Sure you would have. Or
we would have used words. We would have used words like angry. We wouldn't use words like racism.
So you would use this word.
You would not be using. You would not be using the word racism.
So would you say that the following exists?
Put that into your language.
Would you say that's not true? Racism existed before the left was even prominent in the United States or around the world. Would you say that there is, quote, let's take the word racism out of it. Would you say that someone could have a, quote, irrational hatred of someone based on skin color?
Maybe, but
you just choose to not call it bigotry.
Well, hold on. What if it's irrational? What if it's irrational?
I'll let it get to 16 minutes and 30 seconds. See if we have a solo judge.
You know, Joe,
it's a rational divergence from. So I cross the street when I see a certain race coming down the street. Is that racism?
I don't know. In that specific incident, maybe not.
I need an example of racism.
Okay, someone called into my show and said that although they like Rachel Wilson, she heard that Rachel has a cousin named Andrew Wilson. That's right, has the same name as her husband, that told her that Jewish. Rachel Wilson is 1/16 Jewish. So therefore, despite the fact this person thinks that Rachel is an excellent... Let me finish. Despite the fact
Jew is a race?
Let me finish. Despite the fact that this person
thinks it a race
that
or is
Rachel
it a
Wilson, it doesn't matter. It's an irrational, it's bigotry based on ethnicity, which could be determined as race. Sometimes race and ethnicity could be used simultaneously. Nonetheless, this person said that despite the fact that she is an Orthodox Christian who respected Rachel as an Orthodox Christian, that Rachel should be removed from the country because she may have 1/16 blood that would be Jewish. That is an irrational hatred of Jewish people to the point where you're telling people that they can no longer be in this country.
Or it's a troll that's been on the internet for a while, and they know that
let's assume that it wasn't a troll. Is it
they
possible?
Know that people?
So you're saying it's
JQ and stuff like that is popular.
So you're saying that it's not possible for someone in that sense to have an irrational hatred of someone to that extent.
Well, that would be the phobia.
All right, real quick, chat. I'm putting the poll into the chat right now. Hold up, one sec. Putting the poll into the chat right now. Okay. If you want to vote for this man right here, you're voting for JS Urban Adventures on the poll.
Revive funds.
If you want to vote for this man right here, you're voting for Rob Noer on the poll. Chat, get your votes in. You got 2 minutes. I'm starting that timer up right now.
JS, you know, JS, to be fair, Rob did have
not an idiot, Rob.
Is it possible? Well, Rob used to work with retards, so he kind of knows how to operate. JS, is it possible? Is it possible for a dog to hate people based on their skin color?
Dogs don't hate. That's dumb.
Do they? Is it possible for a dog to attack people based on their skin color?
Absolutely.
Dog, I mean, unless you can analyze a dog's brain and know that they're attacking them just because they have that skin color.
Well, what if they only ever attack people of that skin color and no one else?
Maybe it's scared of big dark objects.
Here's a question for you.
An example from the
Here's a
Bible.
question, JS. Why did you just, when we went through that example, you said it's not bigotry, it's a phobia. But wasn't it you yourself that said words like phobia don't exist and they're made up to control language from the left? So why'd you use it?
Well, because you were talking about
No. What's me?
Phobia.
No, wait, but you're acknowledged. The mere fact that you say that it is a phobia acknowledges that phobias exist.
You're right. You could have an irrational fear of something. Like I could have an irrational fear of gay people.
So then homophobia exists? Homophobia exists?
Homophobia exists. Yeah,
okay,
sure.
But you acknowledge that the left uses that term to control language.
Yeah, I think the way they're using it is
last
wrong.
Question.
They're using it like an ism.
Last question. Can you have an irrational hatred of someone based on these sorts of characteristics? If you can have an irrational fear, why can't you? Okay, that's bigotry. That's racism.
But I'm not going to call that
stop
racism.
kicking him. He's already dead.
But you just called it phobia and said that the reason you're not calling it racism is because the left exploits that, and yet you're using
they've been conditioned to be this way. This is a social
construct. Same with phobia. They're conditioned to believe that way, and yet you call it phobia.
It's a social construct. It doesn't exist. It's just something that we're
the head stop talking. It's already been.